Welcome to This Week at the NCPA with me, Hrishi K. Something really, really special is happening through the course of the first week of October. It starts first and goes up. First is a Saturday, it goes up to the 7th, which is a Sunday. So first Saturday to 7th October Sunday. It's called, very appropriately titled, Olympics in Real Life. It's going to be presented at the Gurudev Dance Theatre and the Little Theatre and the Open Air Plaza. Let me just give you timings for that. A festival of films and photographs at the Gurudev Dance Theatre and Little Theatre, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. And at the Piramal Art Gallery, 12 noon to 8 p.m. And two important stakeholders are here with me this morning. Shivendra Singh Dungarpur, filmmaker, archivist, founder, director of the Film Heritage Foundation. He's been on the gig a few times. Always a pleasure chatting with him. Shivi, many congratulations on your resplendent acting debut. I don't know if it's a debut at all, but I saw you in Balki showed me his film Ghumar, in which you matched your histrionic talents with Abhishek Bachchan and Sayami Kher.
Thanks, Hrishi. It's always so lovely to come and chat with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done on that, yeah. And India's pride, Abhinav Bindra, gold medalist in shooting in the 2008 Olympics, now runs the Abhinav Bindra Foundation, which is a very important cog in the wheel for what's happening at the NCPA. Hi, Abhinav. Wonderful to talk to you. How are you?
Very well. Thank you. Very nice to connect with you again and be on your show. All well at my end.
Thank you. This whole thing started off as a conversation, Shivi, between the Olympic Museum in Lausanne and the Film Heritage Foundation. So talk to me about the genesis of the project.
They had approached us. We had a very successful event way back in 2018 with Christopher Nolan and Tacitus team. And I think internationally we had made a big impression on a lot of people. And then our role of the foundation with the International Federation of Film Archives based in Brussels, which the Olympic Museum is part of. And at that point, the museum had sort of approached us saying that there is a lot of movement of India trying to pitch for the Olympics this October. And there could be a possibility on that. And also the IOC meeting is going to be in Mumbai for the first, after 43 years, literally. And would you be interested to showcase the cultural heritage of the Olympics? But, Hrishi, I was very clear that it has to be a huge Indian aspect in it. And I think that's the first kind of premise I told them, that I would love to show the history of Olympics from 1912 onwards and show films of some of the greatest masters, whether it's Olympia by Leni Riefenstahl or the films of Kola Sora or Kon Ichikawa. But to me, what is really key is to trace the history of the Indians who performed in the Olympics right from the beginning, right till today. And we said that we will also exhibit photographs of these Olympians across Mumbai. So we spoke to the BMC, and BMC has very kindly given us almost 25 locations, whether it's the Marine Drive deck, Dadar, Shivaji Park, Bandstand, all parts of Mumbai, where we will be exhibiting photographs of people like Abhinav Bindra or Milkha Singh Ji or Mary Kom or any of the great, where we will almost tracking the history, informing people about how important these Indians have achieved in the history of Olympics and history for India. That will give an opportunity to a lot of people to look at the entire visual history of the Olympics. And we are also exhibiting, we are very fortunate, the two great photographers, Dana Luxembourg and Lorenzo Vittori, would be coming. Dana is, of course, a great portrait artist, a great portrait photographer. She's also done the portrait for Donald Trump, Sean Penn, Whitney Houston, very leading figure around the world. And she'll be doing a workshop with young photographers and also exhibiting at the NCPA, along with Lorenzo and Palomi Basu, she would be uncovering the exhibition. And that's where I think the Abhinav Bindra Foundation comes into play. And I must say, the support of the Odisha government That's been tremendous for us because there are kids coming from Odisha who are traveling for the first time on a plane. And they were part of this great photographic exhibition which Palomi Basu is being put up in support with Abhinav Bindra Foundation. And it's going to be just an amazing experience. You know, Rishi, never before Film Heritage Foundation has been known for Devanand, Bachchan Back to the Beginning, Hero of Heroes. But they forget that the foundation's base is audio-visual heritage. For us, preserving the films of the Olympics or any of the documentaries or any of the films which surround us is equally important as the films of Devanand or A. Nageshwar Rao or Shivaji Ganeshan.
Well, it segues very nicely into speaking with Abhinav. Like Shivi just said, Palomi Basu, she's a Kolkata native, passion for championing women's rights. She actually went into schools in Bhubaneswar and was very keen on capturing the Olympic Values Education Program, the OVEP. And Abhinav Bindra Foundation, the Odisha State Government, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee are active stakeholders in the Olympic Values Education Program. I'd like you to talk about that and how the Abhinav Bindra Foundation is involved in it.
Well, firstly, the Olympic Games is much more than a sporting event. I think the Olympic Games really stands as a movement, and the movement is all about values. It is about the values of respect, it is the value of excellence, and it is the value of friendship. I had a very long career in sport myself. For 20 years, I was just focused on winning, and now that I am able to look back at my career far more dispassionately, I look back at my many years at sport, not at those medals that I won, but really at the values that I was able to imbibe. And I'm very passionate about spreading these values to young people across India. We're such a young country, and I feel that sport has a very, very important and meaningful role to play in shaping society. And that doesn't end the heroics our athletes perform on the field of play. It really is how sport can play a powerful societal role. And with that in mind, we introduced the Olympic Value Education Program in Odisha, currently in play in about 250 schools in 5 different districts, covering about close to 200,000 kids, where children get an opportunity to play for the sheer joy of playing sport, for the health benefits that sport brings, but most importantly, to be able to imbibe values through sport. Sport builds character like no other means. It, of course, teaches you a thing or two about winning, but it teaches you really how to lose. It teaches you so much about fair play, it teaches you about integrity, it teaches you a lot about respect, about one's ability to respect rules. As children, as human beings, when is the first time we are ever introduced to the concept of rules? When we play. When we play something, there's always some rules attached to it. So we started this project a year and a half ago, and it has had a tremendous impact in these schools. To name a few areas, we've seen an uptake in attendance, a 12% increase in attendance in schools. Around 15,000 girls played sport for the first time ever in their life. All our activities are in mixed team events, so girls and boys started to play together. A lot of our activities also go beyond the field of play. It is also about imbibing values through arts and culture. Sometimes on days when they can't play sport, or it's raining, or weather is too hot, then we do a lot of artistic activities, but always keeping into consideration on how kids can imbibe those values. And that is where the idea came through, that this should be captured in a very captivating way. And I think Palomi has done a wonderful job in capturing the spirit of this program. Of course, this program is all set to further scale up in the years to come in Odisha. And of course, also other states are now getting introduced Assam is another state which has just started the OVEP. But all in all, it's been a very meaningful journey for me personally, perhaps even more meaningful than my exploits on the field.
That's lovely, truly lovely. I want to understand why you chose, Shivi, the NCPA for this. How the spaces at the National Centre of the Performing Arts lend themselves to the experience, and how it seems almost fitting that, this particular space would host something of national relevance.
Well, there are many reasons. First, I love the NCPA. It's where I do all my screenings. We have every monthly screening now. Over 1.5 years, we've been doing that screening. My special feelings for Mr. Khushbu Santook, but most important, I wanted to be in a space which is open. I wanted something outdoor, open. I wanted to exhibit because these photographers were so much about that open space. I didn't want to put them in a gallery. I wanted something which is open and which is also open from the Marine Drive, where people can just walk in and walk up. I wanted to attract the common man, the public, and that is why if you see, Hrishi, it's the NCPA works very closely with the BMC. They realize the importance. I mean, a lot of work of the NCPA has been on BMC Gardens, where they're showcasing films, and it almost was appropriate for the foundation to find a partner which is always catering not only to the clients who are coming to the NCPA and coming to the center, but also to the BMC and the other people who and make them as part of this great large family. And that's what I did. I just came out openly because the screenings are free, the exhibition is free, and now we are putting up these massive exhibitions across the BMC sites. The common man for me, Hrishi, is the most important aspect. If you know all our screenings, we try and do as free as possible because we want to attract the common man. We want to inspire the common man. We want to inspire the common person and say, these are how the great Indians have achieved their Olympian, like what Abhinav talked about, the values. I think the values of the foundation is to reach out to everyone. And having that open space and people walking into Marine Drive will be just the best opportunity. And NCPA was the perfect choice for me.
I want to add that entry is absolutely free. So they're not charging you for this. So you have no excuse not to show up between the 1st to the 7th. It runs an entire week. So nowhere have I said tickets are at Book My Show or whatever we normally say this week at the NCPA. The Olympic Committee session, Abhinav, for the first time in 43 years comes to Mumbai. And this is happening the 15th to the 17th of October. And this entire exhibition is almost like a prelude to that. That's a very important thing, isn't it? From an India perspective, if we were to make our presence felt in the Olympic movement and if we were to host a future Olympics.
It is absolutely wonderful to see meaningful engagement with the Olympic movement. As you rightly said, that the NIOC session is coming back to India after a long period of 40 odd years. And it is probably the first step for deeper engagement in the long term. And perhaps in the long term, we can also see a potential Olympic bid or India becoming a host at some point in time. But apart from the session, I'm actually very, very excited about this whole exhibition and this film festival as well, because this really has the potential to touch the common man. It has the potential to inspire a young kid who, after watching a film or seeing a bunch of pictures, may get inspired, and that may very well be the start of their Olympic dreams. So, all in all, it is an exciting time for sport in general, and I think we have to work in different ways to continuously inspire our youth to take up sport, for us to become a more sporting society, and the arts and culture has an equally important contribution to make in helping us achieve that goal.
My last question is to you, Shivi. I know there are enough people who are going to come and see pictures of Abhinav Bindra, pictures of the great Milkha Singh, pictures of P.T. Usha missing by a whisker, the golden Olympic hockey team, which was all dominant, that period from the 20s to the 30s. But you did say briefly at the top that there are going to be some fun films with a pure India connect. And from the listings, I can see Ji Jaan Se, India's Olympic Hope, and Olympic Tale, and Sports Swap India. So I'd like you to keep this last one very India specific and what we can expect from these films and these series.
So these are a lot of these films, and including a film made on Abhinav Bindra, which we will be showing. These are films by contemporary Olympians, and it talks almost about their history, their journey, and how they went on to compete at the highest level. And again, it reaffirms the values of that is. It's almost gives a human side to this sportsman, and I think that's very key for me. Rishi, I've always said that, and I say that again. Where does our artistic endeavor come across? We call, when we see a great painting, we say, "Oh, he's a great painter," but we forget. If you really look at the body of a sportsman, whether Neeraj Chopra is throwing that or Abhinav is the artistic endeavor is the human body itself. For me, that's art. Sports is almost an artistic interpretation of the human body. It's not displayed in a canvas, or it's not displayed in that, but the body, because now you have different sporting things which has just joined the Olympics, and cricket was nearly going to be part of the Olympics. There's still a debate on that, but I think we should remember that the art is so much within us, whether it's sports or whether it's the drama or whether it's the interpretations. These films of these contemporary Indian films will almost show you all these factors, which will bring in a new value into a young mind who is now preparing for himself, whether it's to be a sportsperson or to be just a good human being.
That's lovely. Abhinav, thank you for your services to the nation, not just when you were active and representing us at various international meets, but also now everything that you do with the Abhinav Bindra Foundation. Thank you very much. And Shivi, like Abhinav said, art's contribution to the nation's growth is as important, and you're at the forefront of that with the Film Heritage Foundation. Keep continuing your good work, and I hope to be able to support you always. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome to This Week at the NCPA. It gives me great pleasure to talk the Nakshatra Dance Festival 2023, which is such a prominent part of the calendar at the NCPA. Joining me are Swapnokalpa Dasgupta, Head Dance Department at the NCPA. How are you?
Good, thank you.
And also Dr. Sruti Bandopadhay joins me. She's Professor of Manipuri Dance at the Visva Bharati University. Great to see you. How are you?
I am also fine. Really nice to see you all. And it's such a beautiful program. Thank you for inviting me.
I think we'll set the precedence for the Nakshatra Dance Festival. It's beautiful that you have a Bharatanatyam performance, homage to some great dance forms like Odissi, Kathak, and of course Rabindranath, which Shruti ji shall talk about. My question to you, Swapno, is how long has Nakshatra been on? What is your aim with Nakshatra as part of the dance department? What is it that you hope to achieve? And what's the kind of response you've seen over the years?
Thank you so much. Hrishi, I joined the NCPA 11 years back. And when I joined, Nakshatra Festival was there. But it was a festival which had just generic performances by, of course, very recognized artists. But in 2013, when I joined, I introduced the concept of making it a group dance festival. In the field of dance, as we know, there are solo dances, there are duets, there are trios, but it takes a lot of rigor to really put up something when you have an entire group. And I think with times in India, getting people to come for rehearsals, attending and putting something up together is a huge challenge. And we wanted to celebrate that energy of everybody coming together and speaking one language, which is the group dance festival. in the Nakshatra Festival, we have had dance dramas. Now, when you have multiple people on stage, there are different ways in which we see them. It could be all of them speaking one theme or one language or moving as one body. Or it could be a dance drama where you're playing certain characters, where Ram remains Ram and doesn't change into anything else. So there are different ways we feel human beings are arranged in a group setup. And that's what we are celebrating through this festival. We have dance dramas like Chitrangada, where there is a definite story. Storm Before the Calm by Rabindranath ji, which is again a very abstract theme where we not have characters. We have a Kathakali presentation coming down all the way from Kerala, where we have the story of Kalyana Saugandhikam, which is that beautiful flower, which when we have Bhima and Hanuman, and different stories which are there throughout those 3 days, as well as abstract like the Katha presentation and the Odissi presentation. So it's just to give people an idea of the different ways in which a group of people can celebrate the arts on stage, and that's what is.
It's the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th Nakshatra Dance Festival 2023. Tickets are at Book My Show, also at the ncpamumbai.com website if you log in. The venues are Jamshed Baba Theatre, also at the Experimental Theatre. I will tell you about the individual events. And also there are workshops in the foyer of the Jamshed Baba Theatre. Shruti ji, Chitrangada, the Rabindranath by you with your performing troupe and artists from Shantiniketan, is a story from the Mahabharata and something that Tagore was obviously very fascinated by. Talk to me about the genesis of this story and what we can expect from your performing troupe.
Yes, actually he was inspired by the story, the episode of Chitrangada and Arjun. But then he had his own ideas put into it. And the interesting part is that he has shown at that age, he had brought out this dance drama in 1936. And at that time only, he had, shown the equality of women along with men. This is the most important thing. Today we are talking of gendering, we are talking of so many things, but at that point only he had brought it up. This one, when Chitrangada says that I am equal to you, you can only, she says this to Arjuna, that you can only respect me by keeping me beside you and not either in your feet, or you don't worship me as a deity, but I should be, equal to you, sharing all of your worries, your pleasures, your happiness together. So Arjun and Chitrangada should be, or men and women should be made for each other. So this is the story, and this is the message he gives, which is very interesting and true. And many choreographers have taken up this message in their own way. Taking the cue from Tagore, they have built it up in their own manner. Whatever skill they had put that skill together to portray this theme. But what I have done in this is, I have taken Tagore's script as it is. I had to edit it a little because of the time constraint of NCPA. Otherwise, the whole script is what he has written. I have not put in anything of my ideas or something like that, which the others have been doing, which I should say are also very important in the dance field. But since I had come to Shantiniketan, I felt that, what Tagore had done that time is equally relevant today also, and that too, how he had looked into it. So the main contribution of mine, whatever I had thought, is how I can bring out his dance thoughts also on the songs of this dance drama. So you see, we already have an example in Shantiniketan where there is a tradition of 100 years now, because Tagore brought Manipuri Guru in 1919. So in 2019, we celebrated 100 years of the Bengali girls and boys dancing Manipuri. You see, this is so interesting. So after this, now it has become a tradition. And traditionally, how it is performed, I had come here and observed it. But what I really felt is that, we should work more on Tagore's dance idiom. How he had thought of different dance movements coming together and culminating. And when, the mixing comes out, it becomes a chemical change. It does not stay a mixture. And this chemical change, I always say this, that the main base of this change is Tagore's aesthetics. How he conceived the costumes, how he conceived the movements. So all these taken together, what can be the image, the Angika standing today in the 21st century? I just wanted to experiment with that. It is not my dance, but I have really researched into what Tagore has said about dance in his various writings and trying to grasp that idea and bringing out in the impression in my choreography.
Beautiful.
That's what I'm.
Beautiful. I'm very keen to know, Swapno, on the forms of Bharatanatyam that are being presented. One is Rabindranath and Troupe on the 6th of October at 6:30 p.m., which is also when Chitrangada happens on the same day, which is the Rabindranath that we just talked about. Then on the very next day, on the 7th, you have Vaibhav Avekar and the Sankhya Dance Company also doing a Srimanta Yogi, which is a Bharatanatyam performance, which I believe has something to do with Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So nice to see, even though it is the art form of Bharatanatyam, you have different versions of it. I'd like you to talk about Ramas and then Vaibhavs.
Absolutely. So the entire, like I mentioned, that the entire idea of having this festival is to celebrate the different ways group dances are presented. Ramaji is the so this particular production was actually premiered at the NCPA just after the pandemic. So during the pandemic, we were, of course, in different phases approaching artists and requesting works. And Ramaji took up the challenge that she would like to do a group presentation. And at that time, as you know, that, we were not allowed to meet, there were restrictions. So what she did is she took her entire troupe and she went into a resort near Bangalore. And there she choreographed the entire thing in 2 weeks. And then it was premiered at the NCPA. So it was, but with 50% capacity, because at that time we were not allowed to have, auditorium restrictions did not allow us to have a full house. And after that, of course, every choreography keeps on changing. So that's why we thought, let us look at the choreography now when we have kind of I not say forgotten, but definitely have come out of the pandemic, and what people have gone in their own ways. And all these performers are, I remember backstage when Ramaji mentioned that, okay, when you're coming for 2 weeks for practice, no house, no spouse, and no kids. So, those are a lot of these beautiful memories of this particular production. And we wanted to see how each of us have, in our own way, me as a curator, the performers as performers have, so many years have passed, and how the entire production will look. Now, this being an abstract theme, as it says, Storm Before the Calm, we wanted something a little bit more constructive in terms of understanding, in terms of theme, and that's why we went for Srimanta Yogi by Vaibhav Avekar ji, which is dedicated to Shivaji Maharaj. not like it is an exact retelling of the entire story of Shivaji's life, but it is basically the different aspects, like mother. How he respected his mother, how his change from being a Chhatrapati to a yogi. And those kinds of elements are being added. And so it's going to be two very different content, but using the same idiom of Bharatanatyam.
Wonderful. Wonderful. On the 8th of October at the Experimental Theatre NCPA at 5 p.m., Lovers of a Kathak. It is Let It Flow Kathak by the Anarth Foundation, Ishira Parikh and Maulik Shah. Also, what they're doing a day earlier on Saturday the 7th from 2 to 4 in the afternoon on the Jamshed Baba Theatre foyer is a workshop on Kathak. So Ishira Parikh and Maulik Shah shall be conducting that workshop. All you have to do is go on to ncpamumbai.com and you'll see the listings. There's also a email ID given there, ashetty@ncpamumbai.com, should you want further details on the workshop and the registration. Tickets for the show, of course, are at bookmyshow.com. Which brings me to Dr. Bandopadhay's workshop. Now, she is really somebody who's so accomplished. PhD from Rabindranath Bharati University, D.Lit from Visva Bharati Shantiniketan, and like I told you at the top of the show, she teaches Manipuri dance. Her workshop is on Rabindra Nritya. It is one day after the performance. The performance is the evening of the 6th. On the 7th at the Jamshed Baba foyer, it's a morning start, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Shruti ji, what can we expect if we join this workshop? What are the aspects you're going to be taking them through over the 2-hour duration?
I would like to stress one simple point in this workshop. That is, dancing on a Rabindra Sangeet is not always Rabindra Nritya. You can use Rabindra Sangeet for your own ideas and you can just take them and dance on your own. But if you are dancing your own ideas on Rabindra Sangeet, they are not Rabindra Nritya. When you are dancing to Tagore's dance thoughts, the way Tagore had thought his dance should be, whether it is the Angika or even the Aharya. Vachika is, of course, his literature, so I'm not going in detail in that. And of course, Satvika is always there. So these 4 things of our classical Abhinaya, these 4 Abhinayas, we can distinctly find now in this tradition in the Rabindra Nritya. So this is what I really want to communicate to the workshop participants, that you look into Rabindra Nritya also as a tradition, a very distinguished tradition where, as Visva Bharati as Tagore had said that Visva Bharati is where it's the nest of the world, where the world meets in one nest. This is what he had said. So all the movements, it's the unity, it's a beautiful unity that he had shown us through the aesthetic sense of his. It has become regional, no doubt about it. It has become art of the Bengalis, but yet the universalism is the main key. This is what I would really like to do. And I do look forward to, presenting this in Jamshed Baba. What a beautiful auditorium.
It is.
Yes, I do look forward to with a very, very nervous heart. But yet, it's because I had done before in NCPA. We have a long time back, I've done a duet with Preeti Patel. And with Swapnokalpa, I had done Bhanu Singher Padaboli. The name was Jaya Jaya Bhanu, Jaya Jaya Deva. So with Jaya Deva and Tagore, taking those 2 stalwarts together and binding them through a script of my own, but using that entirely in Manipuri dance style. That also I've done with Swapno before. But this is really making me excited on one side and, because I want to prove a point.
Sure. I think the nice way to bring the curtains down on this particular interview is to talk about Ratikant Mohapatra Srijan. Wonderful Odissi performance on the 7th of October, 5 p.m. at the Jamshid Baba. This is called Advitiyam. And also Kalyana Saugandikam, which is the Kathakali by Margi. Swapno, if you could just tell us that before we sign off.
I just want to mention also that both for the Kathakali performance and for Shrutiji's presentation, because the language plays a very important role in both the presentations, it's a story, I'm going to have English subtitles. So when people
very
are
nice.
the performance, there is going to be subtitles, English subtitles running so that people can connect with the words and follow the storyline. Talking about Ratikant Mohapatraji's presentation, Odissi, of course, Guruji, Guru Kanchan Mahapatraji, who's also my Guruji, used to come to the NCPA very often, had conducted many workshops. So there is a long-standing tradition of having Kanchan Mahapatraji's contribution or touch with the NCPA. And Ratikantji, being the son of the great man, has continued the tradition. The way he has envisioned Odissi, he names it neoclassical, a little bit different from what Guruji had. And that brings me to the main point in the festival of Nakshatra, that we have pieces like Chitrangada, like the Kathakali piece, where it's exactly how it is, or it has been, or exactly how it has been envisioned by the great master. But we also have what has been created now in group choreographies. And Srajan would be creating or presenting things which are happening now, which is going to be super traditional in like the next 50 years. 50 years from now, I think some Swapno and some Hrishi and some Shrutiji is going to discuss about the traditional choreographies that are being presented, are probably choreography which we are going to see in this Nakshatra. But we, for this Nakshatra, wanted that entire mix of having something new, which is born today, as well as seeing something which is going to transport us to 1930.
And Margi, please.
So Margi is the Kathakali presentation I was talking earlier. I had shared about the story. And I think what is fascinating is that for Nakshatra, we have artists coming from different parts of the country, and Margi for this time is coming for the first time to perform at the NCPA, and we are super looking forward to it. It's not always possible for us to have Kathakali presentations. There are certain technical requirements, there are certain type of mood also, and we are very happy that for this Nakshatra, we are able to bring down artists all the way from Kerala for the production. And it is exactly the same story. So again, it's a traditional production with the live music and exactly how you would have watched it many years before. So, and to know more about it, Hrishi, I think you and all the audiences should have to come to the NCP, and then we can share the rest.
That's Dr. Swapnokalpa Dasgupta, Head Dance Department at the NCPA, and of course Dr. Sruti Bandopadhay, Professor of Manipuri Dance at Visva Bharati University. I really appreciate your time, and there's so many wonderful learnings for me. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
94.3 Radio 1.